All right, next question. Do you think you would take up jiu-jitsu in your 40s if you had been introduced to something else in your 20s, like Muay Thai, boxing, etc.? I'm struggling with jiu-jitsu. I respect the hell out of it. I have an easier time with boxing and kickboxing.
Just interesting. I'm just making a little note. Like,
gotcha.
I have an easier time with these things.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah. Maybe.
Interesting.
Given your most recent admission that you are boring, obviously you're not because of your popularity, do you think you'd pick it up later in life? Jiu-jitsu to me is a chore. Boxing, kickboxing is fun. I think because in my youth I figured out how to move my body in that way. I'm 43, by the way.
So first of all, do I think I would go to jiu-jitsu or start jiu-jitsu or get into jiu-jitsu in my 40s if I had been? Yes, absolutely, 100%. The power of jiu-jitsu is very real. It's a real thing, and once I recognized it, I wanted to have that power, the power to choke people, arm lock them, dominate, win with no mercy. Now, what's interesting about this is there's certain people like certain things, right? And he even says, like, I have an easier time with kickboxing and boxing because he's part of that's because he's done it for a long time, since his 20s, so it's just easy for him. And it like jiu-jitsu seems like a chore for him because you know what else? He's getting beat up. You know, if he doesn't just getting into it now, he's getting beat up. He's getting choked. Yeah, that's a chore, man. It's hard. It's hard on the ego. Yeah. I thought of an interesting rule. If you don't like jiu-jitsu, if you don't think you like, what do you think of this rule? If you don't think you like jiu-jitsu, take it. And I was trying to think, take it for 6 months, take it for 3 months. And I said, take it until you legitimately submit someone that is comparable in some way to you. Yeah. You think that's a good rule? I think that's a good rule.
Yeah,
I think that's a good rule.
Yeah.
Because I'm not talking about you tap someone out that's weak and small or weaker than you and smaller than you, and then you're like, see, I can tap him out, I'm going to quit now. No, I'm talking about someone that's equivalent to you. Someone that has some comparable, like, physical attributes to you. Because I believe that once somebody gets the taste of the power, and also this also implies, or is factually, if you train enough that you submit someone, that means you got submitted 1,000, probably 500 times. Yeah. You think that's a good number? I bet you by the time you submit someone in jiu-jitsu, you've probably been submitted 500 times. Yeah, okay, 400 times, 300 times. Yeah. If you go to a jiu-jitsu academy as a white belt, zero training. You're going to get submitted 4 times, 5 times, 6 times a class. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, it just depends if there's other white belts that are first, second, third, fourth, fifth day, first month. So you could. No, you could. Depends I bet how you big. Get submitted a lot of times. Oh yeah, you're not tapping guys out. It's 300 times. It's 200 times. Yeah. It's definitely more than 100. But I wouldn't say before you get tapped out 100 times in a week. Wait, did you say times before you tap out anybody? Yes. Yeah, that's going to depend. If you have other white belts in first day guys, let's say you've of course. If you've been training for 3 weeks, you can tap out somebody that hasn't been training ever. Yeah, that's how fast you can learn jiu-jitsu. Yeah. When the first moves that I learned, I probably knew like a month's worth of jiu-jitsu, but no one could hang with me because I knew like the basic stuff. Right. No one even knew what to do. Yeah. Yeah, consider a rear naked choke. All you have to do is you can learn the rear naked choke one day in the beginning of class, and all you have to figure out when you roll, if a guy doesn't have much experience, all you have to figure out is how to get on his back. That's all you got to do. It's really cool when you teach kids jiu-jitsu. Like you can say something like, you could give them the class on how to pass the guard, right? Mm-hmm. And they would start to do what you told them to do. Or you could say, okay, your goal is to get out of their legs and get around them. Yeah. And they'll figure out how to do it. Yeah. And it's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then what you do is you give them a couple little pointers. Yeah. Because their instincts will be a little bit off, but you give them a couple little pointers, a couple of things to work with, and then they'll develop those into some really cool stuff. Yeah,
I don't know if I said this before, but that even is true, not as much, but is still true with adults.
Yeah.
It's because if you teach them the technique first and then you say, hey, those techniques I taught you, that's passing the guard. And it's way easier to like it's almost like getting a big piece of clay and being like, okay, make the head, make the body, make the arms. That's it. And then be like, okay, now you got the arms. That's cool. Now I'll make the fingers. Now I'll make and then start to go with the details there as far as the technical techniques with like passing the guard. But that's how I learned from Dean, where he would teach stuff, but I would just see him like getting past, and I know, okay, when he gets past you, that's like hard to get out of. So that's what I want to try to do. And when guys would get past,
affirmative.
So I thought that it really worked better that way, to teach that way if someone's starting from zero, because it's hard to put into context when you don't know anything. You're like, I'm doing this cool like technique.
Cool. It's cool doing the intro class at the muster, because you have a lot of people that have never done jiu-jitsu before. And that's like how you're saying to teach is exactly how we teach it. It's like, hey, this is the concept, and then we teach a couple little moves of like what to do there, and then you watch people get after it, and they do get after it. It's pretty cool.
But yes, here the reason for this. And this goes for anything, by the way. If you are successful, especially if they're kind of similar, like in this case where he's like, okay, martial arts, right? Jiu-jitsu, I'm going to start jiu-jitsu way late. Meanwhile, I have experience doing Muay Thai and boxing. So if he has experience, assuming he's been somewhat successful, not necessarily in competition, but not competition, just like he knows what he's doing. When he throws a punch, he can have a level of success of that punch landing, and it's going to be pretty often if he has 20 years experience, give or take, whatever. So he's experiencing little micro successes when he jumps in the boxing situation on Muay Thai.
And jiu-jitsu is getting macro failures.
Macro failures all day. It's a huge chore, and that's life. So if you're going in with nothing, you have no micro, successes, no nothing. You're just going in. I don't train anything. I go in. Sure, I'll take some hits. I'll take some failures because I'm learning this new thing. But if you have it compared to, look, I'm going to come into Victory MMA. I'm going to see the kickboxing situation going on. I'm going to see jiu-jitsu situation going on. My brain is automatically going to be like, okay, what's going to be the best experience for me right now?
Micro victories.
I'm going to go where the victories are. I'm going to go where the payoff is. Those payoffs where I can land punches. I can know what I'm doing. Dang, when I move my body, it does what I want it to do, and it yields success. It's effective. Or I can go to jiu-jitsu, and where everyone else has success, everyone else is getting their payoff. Not me, by the way. Everyone else is. I'm getting tapped out, and that part in and of itself is like, especially if you're a guy.
Is it a personality thing where some people, as soon as they get tapped in jiu-jitsu, they're like, oh my God, I need to learn this immediately. Like, when people get the jiu-jitsu bug.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Not everyone gets the jiu-jitsu bug, right? Not everyone. A lot of people do. Yeah. Well, what percentage of people get the jiu-jitsu bug?
Oh, dang, I have no idea.
20%? 30%?
Depends. Like 20% of who? Of all people who start doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. It's probably not even 20% now I think about it. It's weird as much as there is jiu-jitsu, as much as we talk about it in a very positive way, normal people have a hard time with it. It's weird for me to admit that. It's weird for me to say that. But if I think about it, and I've talked about this before, like of all the people that I've introduced to jiu-jitsu over the years, I think I have like maybe 4 black belts of people that I fully like. They started jiu-jitsu because of me. I'm talking so that with those percentages, it's very, very small. People that actually stick with it and get the bug. Yeah, might not even be 4.
But you can get the bug and the bug kind of wear off. You know how that is. I remember.
Then that's not the bug.
That's not the real bug. That's like the diet jiu-jitsu bug or something.
The bug light.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, it's the bug light because people get purple belt and then they don't show up anymore. People get the brown belt, they don't show up. People don't get the blue belt and they don't show up anymore.
Yeah. It just
and then there's people who get the black belt, keep training.
Yeah.
That's the bug. That's the real bug.
Yeah, fully. I used to think like when you dream about it, you know how like you'll learn a move and you'll dream of it'll just kind of be in your thing. In your mind, it's conscious and subconscious. I thought that was kind of it, but in my experience, that goes away sometimes. It depends on what you're into. But I don't know. Yeah, but nonetheless, that's it. That's what I think. Because that's pretty common. Like,
yeah,
you know how
for
like
sure,
guys, they're
for sure.
in the,
so
when
was
they go
there
to UFC
was
or
there like
something.
an actual advice?
Yeah, like do you think you
Yeah, I would have. So my answers are yes, I would have done jiu-jitsu because I would have had the bug. And my advice is, if it's a chore, keep doing it until it's fun.
Yeah, the
thing is, it is fun to get beat. It's fun to get, like, it's fun. It's fun to have, like, my favorite people to train with are the people that give me the hardest runs.
Yeah, I know.
And my absolute most favorite people to train with are the people that actually can get me.
I know, but it's, again, you have to have this, there's this third factor here where the kickboxing and boxing is right there.
Yeah.
I could be right there right now.
Winning.
And winning, you know, just doing it. But I'm not. I'm over here, and this guy's mounted on me, and he's choking me and stuff. Like, I dig it, man. It makes sense.
So I guess we could reverse this question and say, like, okay, Jocko, then why aren't you in boxing and striking all the time? Yeah. For me, it's actually not that hard of an answer. I've done boxing and striking, and the thing that is different is in boxing and striking, even though you're talking about micro wins, most of the nights of training boxing or kickboxing, the micro wins are against pads and a bag, right? Because you're not sparring every night. Yeah. And if you are sparring every night, you're making a mistake.
Yeah, and you're not even going as hard as
and you're not going
comparatively.
Yeah. I mean, you can have fun, and we do that too. Like we call it playing tag, where you're like touching the person. You're it's almost like a slap fight, you know. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that you can't spar every night, and you shouldn't spar every night. And if you are sparring every night, you're wrong. But you can roll every night. Yeah, you can get full victories, not micro victories, full on submissions. Yeah. So and I agree, and I think that if you. Then it really depends on who you are, but to me that was the big time appeal, and still is the legitimate appeal of jiu-jitsu, where, you know how, like, people even now they'll be like, hey, but this martial arts is superior because this and that, but really jiu-jitsu is kind of being tested the best because it's going against full speed enemy, quote unquote enemy, who's trying to fight back. It's funny when people are like, how would you ever get someone's arm there? You know what I mean? Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, you get to get that arm lock. Try that on me. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. What was I just reading about? Didn't Gordon Ryan just beat somebody? He like called it. Yeah. He called it.
Metamor 7.
Yeah. He was like, I'm gonna beat you with this, and he did it
within this amount of time. That's by the way. Yeah. And that's how Gordon Ryan. Man. And that's against a high level guy. Well, Gordon Ryan's obviously one of the best guys right now. But that is kind of how jiu-jitsu is, you know, unless it's like some huge giant like football player just spazzing and running away the whole time. If someone's engaging you, that's kind of how it is, where you're like, oh, I can choke. If they don't know jiu-jitsu and you know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. If they don't know, yeah, for sure.
If they're like, how are you going to get my arm there?
Gordon Ryan did not do that to someone that didn't know jiu-jitsu.
I know. Holy cow.
And that's the funny, because those are the Hickson stories, you know, like Hickson would be like, I'm going to, all of you 14 black belts, I'm going to arm lock your left arm, all of you. And he'd do it. Yeah. All of them, black belts.
Yeah. Damn, that's a
You heard those stories, right?
Yeah.
I rolled with Hickson. I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Hickson's really good at jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know though. So what do you do though? Like what's the advice? No. Back to the question.
My advice is, like I said, that's why I think my new rule is train until you submit someone that is legitimately comparable to you. Yeah. And then if you don't like it still, then don't train. Like, there was one guy on social media that like kept coming back to me like, oh no, I hate jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I hate it. And I was like, after a while, I'm like, okay, can you defend yourself against, a takedown? Can you get up from the bottom? Okay, then go find something else to do and quit complaining to me about it. Like, everyone is not meant for jiu-jitsu. I get it. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's still...
It is beneficial, though.
It feels like it is for everyone. It's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. That's why I'm saying that's what it feels like to you and me. Yeah. And to the people that we hang out with. And that's why when I was saying, like, some people don't like jiu-jitsu, it's really weird for me to understand that. I have a hard time with their perspective. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. That's me. Mr. Understand their perspective. Yeah, when you tell me, like, I don't really like jiu-jitsu, it's like, why? Why would you not like it?
Straight up.
Yeah. I'm glad you don't like it. Makes life easier for me. One person I don't have to worry about being able to choke me.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I would say this. Uh-oh. Try this. If you're in this situation, this is what I would do. try to forget about like when you're like, okay, I'm gonna go jiu-jitsu tonight. Forget about boxing as a concept. Forget about kickboxing. Forget about it. Like don't think about that. Like your whole thing right now is just jiu-jitsu, and or think of it as like just this complete learning experience, of course. But forget about the boxing, because anytime like that's what's gonna happen when you keep that boxing on your mind or the kickboxing on your mind. You're like, why am I doing this when I could be doing boxing, which is like badass anyway, kind of thing. But just forget about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. You know how like guys in the UFC, that'll happen sometimes where they're super good at jiu-jitsu, and then they'll train boxing and like phone it in. Yeah,
and it's vice versa too.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I was just saying, like some people, and this is true with fighters. Some fighters don't like striking. They don't like to get hit specifically. No one minds punching people. Some people like it. Some people they truly like to punch someone else in the head. Yeah. Some people are good with it. Most people are good with it because it feels good. Some people don't like to get hit. They really don't like that. Some people don't like to get smashed on the ground. They get claustrophobic, right? They don't like that. And so different people have little different, I don't know if I call them weaknesses, but preferences.
Yeah.
And you can see that very clearly, especially in the earlier UFCs. Nowadays, you're not getting in the UFC if you're super uncomfortable in any arena of martial arts. Yeah. If you're just super uncomfortable, stand up, you know, maybe you might make an undercard barely, but you don't see that on TV.
You don't go as far for sure. There you go. I like that ruler. Do it until you tap someone out.
Yep.
Like
legit.
Comparable to you. Just good.
Because what I think happens once you do that, you're like, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And you got the benefit of getting tapped out, which to me motivates me more than just tapping someone out.
Yeah.
Like, how did someone control me? Think about that. Another human being can control me completely. Yeah. Dean does that to me sometimes, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I've been training for a really long time. Yeah. And I'm a grown man in good physical condition, relatively strong. Yeah. And he can hold me in a position where I cannot do anything. And I can actually do that to him too. Not as often. Yeah. But like he's got 3 positions he can do it to me, and I think he can cross side, mount, and on all fours, right? Oh, right. If I'm in one of those positions, or he's in one of those positions on me, I'm doomed.
Bad deal.
For me, it's only, I don't have mount on him. His mount escape is awesome, and my mount's not really good, so he can get out of that, so it's no big deal. But cross-eyed, or when he's on all fours, I'm going to torture him. Yeah. And we both know we're going to get tortured in those positions. Yeah. For him, it's 2 positions. For him, there's 2 positions he's going to get tortured in. For me, there's 3 positions I'm going to get tortured in. Tortured.
Yeah.
Tortured.
Yes, sir. I would agree.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tortured. Yeah, you felt it too. Yeah, both examples.
All examples. Except the mount, though. I can escape mount.
You have good mount.
Yeah. No, mount escape.
Yeah, you have good mount escape.
So not as, but yeah, no, that's bad. I dig it. Isn't that weird though? You have, over 25 years experience, train, very strong and big, by the way. Yeah. Like compared to like a normal jiu-jitsu guy, like you're a thing, the huge jiu-jitsu player. Mm-hmm. Big, strong, experience, know what to do, know what not to do. All that doesn't mean anything just for that moment. Doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah.